bedtime on Nick Jr.
Time for a story.
Wow, look how bright the moon is tonight, Barney.
When the moon comes out, it means it's time to go to bed.
I can't wait to have sweet dreams.
Shall we go and listen to a bedtime story first to help us settle down?
Yes, please, before I fall asleep.
Hello, Arnie. Hello, Barney. My name's Duncan. Are you ready for a bedtime story?
Oh, hello, Duncan. Yes, we are. Oh, we're very tired.
Good. Well, why don't you guys make yourselves comfortable, okay? Would you like to listen to a story as well? You would? Good. Then why don't you come and settle down with us?
Is it time for a bedtime story?
Oh, there you are. Hello, Fleur. I was wondering where you went. Come and get comfy and I'll open the book. What's tonight's story? Let's take a look. My favourite. The Emperor's New Clothes. Once upon a time, there lived an emperor who was so vain that he wore the finest and most expensive clothes that money could buy. He liked nothing more than to show off his clothes to his people, and what's more, he changed them every hour. Two scoundrels who lived in the kingdom decided to take advantage of the emperor's expensive taste and formed a clever plan. They went to the emperor's palace and approached the guards standing at the gates. "We are the finest tailors in the land," they said. "We have invented a way to weave a cloth so light and fine that it looks invisible, but only invisible to people who are too silly to appreciate its beauty." The guard listened to the scoundrel's story and proceeded to tell the royal butler, who couldn't wait to run to the emperor and tell him of the magical cloth that only the finest eyes could see. The emperor summoned the scoundrels to see him. "It's true, your highness," they said, "and the cloth shall be woven in colours and patterns designed especially for you." The emperor couldn't resist and gave the men 2 bags of gold coins, a loom and some gold thread so they could get to work immediately. "Take whatever you need," said the proud emperor. "I must look magnificent."
I think these scoundrels are up to no good.
I think you could be right there. Let's find out. A few days later, the emperor sent his royal butler to see how things were going with his new clothes. "We're almost finished," said the scoundrels, "but we need more gold thread. Why not feel the softness of the fabric for yourself?" they continued. The royal butler stared at the loom, but could not see the fabric, but decided to pretend to see it so he wouldn't look silly. "This is the finest fabric I've ever seen or felt," he said. "The emperor will be most pleased." When the silly royal butler had left, the scoundrels rubbed their hands with joy. "Just a little more gold thread and we'll be finished," they laughed, winking at each other. Soon, the emperor called the tailors so they could take his measurements. They even pretended to hold a roll of fabric. "We've worked day and night, your highness, but at last, the most beautiful fabric in the world is finally ready for you. Look at the colours and feel how soft it is." The emperor had to sit back on his throne, for although he could not see the colours or feel the softness, he would not allow anyone in the kingdom to think he was foolish. "Amazing," said the emperor. "Simply amazing."
I can't believe nobody will say anything.
The scoundrels then began to cut the air with scissors and sew the needles into the invisible cloth. Finally, they asked the emperor to remove all the clothes he was wearing so he could try on his new clothes. The emperor stood in front of a mirror, and because he didn't want to look silly, he proudly said, "These clothes are the finest ever. You've done a very good job." "I'm sure the people of your kingdom are eager to see your new clothes, your highness. Why not organise a parade so they could witness for themselves this amazing fabric?" suggested the scoundrels. It wasn't long before the emperor stepped from his royal carriage and began to parade in front of hundreds of members of his kingdom. Not wishing to seem silly, the crowd greeted him with applause and cries of, "Just look at the emperor's new clothes. They're beautiful. And the colors, the patterns, I've never seen anything like that in my whole life." This all made the emperor very happy indeed. A young boy, however, could only see things as his eyes showed him. "The emperor isn't wearing any clothes," he shouted.
Finally, somebody is speaking up.
"Quite right, Fleur." The emperor stopped, and the crowds went quiet. And then, from the crowd, more people began to shout, "The emperor isn't wearing any clothes! The boy's right!" And although the emperor knew the crowds were right, he could not admit to it, so he continued walking as if everything was fine. And the crowds continued to laugh and shout, and the people of his kingdom decided that from that day on, they would never allow such a foolish emperor to rule over them again. The end.
Close your eyes, lullabies, moonbeams will bring sweet dreams. I wish you a very good night.
Good night. Sleep tight.
It's bedtime on Nick Jr. Coming up next.